By the way, before we start, the story you told me about you and your son,
Yeah.
I want to make it into a film.
Okay.
I wrote the script. I think it has to be
Huh?
an animation.
Okay.
Just the text. I'll tell you what the film is. It's a split screen. It's you and your son on one side, and
Yeah.
it's a Palestinian dad and his son in Gaza on the other side,
Okay.
and you're both saying the same text. It's the
I mean,
same.
I hope he says to his son that what I said is exactly right, which is that the people who launched the rockets at us were trying to kill us, but most people on the other side of that, imaginary border are perfectly fine and want no trouble.
I'm going to leave that
So,
out. I'm going to leave that out. No, because the deal here's it's not it's not your story. The idea is that when a kid hears the siren or the planes, and his father runs to a room, they sit in the corner and he protects him, and the kid tells him, "Dad, I'm scared," and the father says, "I know." He says, "Why are they attacking us? Uh,
yeah.
they They want to kill. They want to kill us. Yes. Why they want to kill us? Because they don't want us to be here. So, but I don't remember. I can send you the script. But then he tells him that. How did I write it? He tells him, "Don't worry. If they come to kill us, we'll kill them first. That's what the protection is. We'll kill them first. They you don't worry. They won't kill you. Okay."
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's the same text. It's the same text. Now we're actually teaching the younger generation hatred without knowing it. Now I know that a normal person like you would say, look, some people on the other side want to kill us. The majority are great. But here's the
Hmm.
Palestinians that look, most of the Israelis are fine. I used to work for and with Israelis. It's the army people and the government who want to kill us. So it's like, it's the same. And the problem is not about can we reach peace and quiet. It's about what we're doing to the next generation because that's what they'll remember. My dad told me they want to kill us, and the way to protect myself is to kill them first. And I think if you have an animation film with split screen and the text is the same, you're like, guys, wake up! What are you doing? What are you doing? Can't teach the kids that on the other side of the fence there's somebody who wants to kill you, which is not true. They don't want to kill you.
My issue with that framing is, tell me how you disagree with this, but that I would say that that's true for Palestinians. If you look at the polls, for example, like their level of support for October 7th, their level of support for Hamas, what they teach the kids at schools, uh, for Israelis, like for example, right? I have three kids, three boys, and they all go to schools in Israel, and none of them come home and say to me anything of the sort of "we need to kill all the Arabs" or so. In fact, they have Arab. Certainly in the kindergartens, they have Arab teachers who they love, and they have very warm relationships with. Like they give my kids hugs. Like it's beautiful. It's beautiful to see. So this I don't see that happening with Israeli children as much as I do with Palestinian children. So I agree with you in the sense that that there's a serious problem of training the next generation to hate. But I even asked. I remember like a month or so after the war, there was this creeping narrative of hatred on both sides, and if only they could see past that, right? Then we wouldn't be in this position. And I asked a few. I don't know if you want to call them terror victims, but people who had family members killed by terrorism, Israelis, Jews. And I asked them, "Do you hate Palestinians?" And they all kind of looked at me like, "What are you talking about? Like that question doesn't make any sense. I hate the terrorists, but I have no problem with Palestinians." And that goes to the point that you're saying that the father says, "Look, uh, those that want to kill us, we have to kill them first." And maybe you said like, okay, there's a distinction between the minority of people who want to kill us and then everybody else. And sometimes the people who fit into the everyone else bucket have to die as well, just because war is not exactly that. It's not that precise. But so tell me what you disagree with in that.
I don't disagree. I just think that there's two ways that I think we're trying to deal with this. One of them is, let's call it the Paris peace way. Is if these kids from Gaza met the kids from Israel, they would see there's no hatred, there's more to
They're just
share.
kids.
They're just
Yeah.
kids, right? But when we're in a war situation, there's a border. You don't get to see the kids on the other side or the people on the other
Right.
side. And that's why the film is not saying, this is the broad picture. This is when the planes are coming or when we hear the sirens, the only truth. And, I told this to my wife this morning and said, well, and I asked her, what would you do? What would you tell your kids? I don't know if I would tell them the truth. And then I remembered you told me it all started when you said, I decided I'm not lying to my kids. So if you're not lying,
Right.
why are the planes, here? Why are they bombing us?
Yeah.
I'm scared. What? They're bombing us because they want to kill us?
Right.
Well, yes, they want to kill us. So the people in the plane, they want to kill you, but they're from the other side of the border.
Mm.
Now, are we going to die? No, because we're going to kill them first.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and that's the way I'm going to protect you. Now, we complain that that's what they're teaching the kids over there,
Mm-hmm.
but we are doing the same. We're doing the same. We're saying for those Hamas people who raise their children to be Hamas people, we have no choice. Hakam le'argecha shkem le'orgo. Now, when the shoe is on the other foot, when they're doing and saying that, we're saying, oh, they're promoting terror. What are we doing? No, we're promoting defense. What defense? Hakam le'orgecha shkem le'orgo.
Right.
That's where the
We
that's where the
we
problem is.
we completely destroy Gaza and we call that defense. Yeah. Right.
It is defense. It is defense. It will defend us for a few
Yeah.
years now. But
Yeah.
but there's a better defense, and the better defense that says, "What do you want? We're going to stay here. You want to stay there. Why don't we just decide how we're going to make it here together for the next 50 or 100 years? We'll decide, and we'll go into a room, and we'll debate, and we'll talk, and we'll reach an agreement." But if you let the army and the Hamas make the decisions, and I say it's all about job security.
Hmm.
If I'm an army guy, peace. What am I going to do? If I'm Hamas, peace. They're going to cut my budget, and that's what
Right.
happened when Gantz was prime minister, was the chief of staff. He was the first chief of staff who cut the IDF's budget. Agreed, because it's crazy. We have
Yeah.
to stop that. So he said, "Oh, everything's good. Let's cut the budget." And then happened at Tzuk Eitan, and everybody said, "Oh, you understand now? Why did Tzuk Eitan happen? It doesn't just happen because somebody wants to make it happen. There's triggers, and the trigger was, I don't know if you remember what the trigger was for Tzuk Eitan.
Is that the one in 2012 or 2014?
14, 14.
Um, oh, the teenagers, right? That were kidnapped and killed.
Wrong.
Oh, it
Why
was it
did
was
the,
the boy.
why no? Why did the teenagers happen?
Oh, they killed the Muslim kid.
No, no.
Okay, so educate me.
I'll educate you. The Hamas and the Palestinian Authority decided to form Mshelet Achdut.
Okay.
They said,
A
"We're
unity
we're
government, by the way. Yeah.
yeah, we're in Gaza. Let's work together. Let's form a unified government."
Hmm.
And Israel said, "We can't let that happen because that means we're going to negotiate with a terror group. If Hamas is part of the authority, we're negotiating with the authority. We're cooperating with the authority. That means we're cooperating with a terror group." So we
Hmm.
said no. Now, we not only said no, what we said is, okay, here's the sanctions. And we shut down Gaza. Shut down. No work, no anything, nothing comes in. So if there's no mellet coming in for Hamas to build tunnels, there's no work, there's no pay. And Hamas just said, okay, we have some people in Yehuda v'Shamron. Let's show them that we won't sit quiet. And they killed the three boys. Killed the three boys. We had to go to war against Hamas.
Yeah.
And the whole peace idea between Hamas and the Palestinian Authority died forever. Good for Israel, and good for the IDF, good for Hamas, bad for us.
Um, I like that analysis about job security as something that perpetuates this conflict because a lot of people have made a lot of money off this, and I think if you think about this always gets lost in the analysis and the stuff that's in the news is like the Hamas guys who are in Qatar and in Turkey and are billionaires. There's no like second act for them in life. It's not like they're gonna quit and then become I don't know Hollywood movie stars. Like this is the life they chose, and it's a very comfortable one. Although I mean it carries a lot of risk, but they've got all this money. They wake up every day in fancy hotels. It's a nice job. I mean, it's an evil job, but the perks are top 0.00001% of humanity, and so it's in their self interest to just continue to suppress any information that comes in their way. Sorry, to the people of any Palestinian really, but it's in their interest to do that. So it's in the interest of people to dehumanize the Israelis, keep them stupid about what's actually going on, um, frighten the hell out of the population, build a war machine underneath so that whenever something happens, then the civilian death toll goes up, and it's just this perfectly well-oiled machine that just continues to perpetuate itself. And they make a ton of money off of that right? By stealing money from poor people, essentially. So, and I'm sure you can make the same analysis in less cynical terms, but maybe you choose to do otherwise for the Israelis too. Um, but what
We
I
don't
what I
do that.
like,
We don't do that in times of war.
okay, what do you mean?
We don't do the parallel analysis. We don't talk about it because times of war, you don't, you know,
Right.
the army the army wants this conflict to go on because this is how we get money from the US and build all these weapons and have all these industries in Israel that are doing amazing stuff, but who pays for them? The conflict. So now in times of war you say we're lucky we did that, you see? Because now we can defend ourselves. I'm sure
It's
there's a
also it's actually it's an international thing because you have reports of advisors, for example, to the Biden administration, or I think even people inside the Biden administration themselves who are funded lavishly by Qatar, for example. But even if you've got the pro-Israel, like it's this huge cottage industry of people who write nonsensical things and give really stupid advice to the most powerful people in the world, just so they can keep collecting these very nice fat paychecks. It's crazy.
it
It's
is.
really nuts.
It is. And
But
and yeah,
what
so we need leaders with a vision, and not a vision of how we keep the conflict for 100 years, is how we stop this and become better people in a better world with better lives. Now I think we got a close up view on how things look if they go south.
Mm.
Okay, we need to imagine how they would look if they go in the right in the right direction towards peace. But
Hmm.
there's many people in the way that will play with our imagination and tell us, "Yeah, you're not going to get there. You're not going to get there. This is what's going to happen. It's going to be shitty." And when this happens, not only can they say, "Yeah, we're right," we're actually in the bad place. So, can we dream of this better world? Um, I don't see a
So
point for life without it,
I agree. I agree.
and I think
And just
we
to put
have
just to put a
yeah
fine point on it exactly, because I love what you're saying, is that, and this ties back to the monetary incentive that perpetuates this damn war, is that the world really does run on two things, and one is fear, as you said. If we allow certain, if we cut some slack to the wrong kind of people, we end up with October 7th over and over and over again, which is true. It's just, do you want fear to dictate everything you do, right? And fear is again driving, for example, the advisors to the Biden White House who get a lot of money from Qatar and saying, I without this without this advice that I'm giving that's purely driven by political and economic factors. Can I provide any more benefit to my community, the people around me, humanity at large? And the fear is, if the fear is no, then you're going to take that money, right? Which is, I think, essentially the reason why people take bribes to begin with, because they're so traumatized by this belief that if I don't take the money now, no matter where the source, I'm going to be screwed. I'm not going to be secure and all that kind of stuff. Whereas if you take the position, which is, I think, the other thing that I think is the most fundamental driver of human action, is love. Because yes, we are afraid of things, but we love our families, we love our friends. At times we love ourselves. So we do these wonderful things for the sake of love. And I think that should be the wellspring of anything that ultimately ends this conflict, but every conflict in the world. And then whatever else that propels humanity forward is an act of love.
imagine
And
imagine imagine if we can kill love.
what do you mean?
You said there's two options, right? Fear and love. Now the people who benefit from fear, imagine if they can kill the love option, that we lose the ability to believe in love or aspire to love. Now we have no choice.
Yeah.
We have to play the fear game. And I think what they did now, both leadership on both sides, they want to prove there's no love. Don't even, there's no room for that. There's only fear. And if there's only fear, there's only one way, and we're that way. So
Hmm.
that's it. And
Can you imagine, though? I mean, a world in which people believe that love doesn't exist or can be extinguished. I mean, what else is the point of life if not for love? Like, what
right.
else justifies everything else? It can't
But
be fear and pain and suffering, you know?
so love is I'm taking love and expanding it, but
Yeah.
to hope, to a good life, to whatever. And when you see the situation we're at now, and you say, look, let's say we end the war, okay?
Mm. Hmm.
There's no more war, and all the hostages are back. Most Israelis, when they play that uh, um, futuristic game, said, okay, we've succeeded to end the war. Maybe there's no Hamas, and the hostages are back. That's a dream come true, right?
Mm.
Good. Now what do we do? Well, here's the thing. Our neighbors in Gaza, they're in very, very bad shape, and somebody has
Hmm.
to take care of them, and nobody wants to, and it's going to be us again. Okay, and that will take money, soldiers, uh, uh, all that comes with it. Our
Hmm.
our uh, our place in the world is very bad. Nobody wants to come here. Nobody wants to deal with us. So our economic situation is very, very bad. Uh, we have to invest a lot of money now, so people will come back to their homes in the north and the south. We have a problem with the Haredim, which we can't solve. We have a problem with leadership that doesn't. So it's like we're gonna solve this. We're gonna how do you say it in English? Weather the storm. But after the storm, there's again, we won't see hope and love. We will just see very, very hard work and fear that maybe we won't survive this storm. We'll stay alive, but without hope.
Yeah,
And I think that's the biggest success of this leadership that we have, and the leadership on the other side. That the people who had belief in this country are losing the belief in this country. Maybe
yeah,
now fixing this place is not hard or very hard. Maybe it's impossible. And if it's impossible, I fear. I fear. And I tried. I asked a friend of mine. Okay, let's say we lose. We lose the war. We lose to the Arabs. How does this look? Because I can't imagine. Okay, and he said, well, because it's Hamas and Hezbollah, right?
hmm,
They're coming in here. Okay, so I understand when a country takes over another country. Okay, you swallowed it. You say, okay, now you're not anymore. You're not in Jordan anymore. Now this is
yeah,
Israel. So these are the laws. This is how it's going to work. But this is not a country conquering Israel. So how is it going to look? And he said, well, you saw how it looks on October 7th. This is how it's
yeah,
going to look.
yeah,
So
for sure, for sure.
again, it's something we can't imagine. So I just gave you two scenarios: one of love that we can't imagine, one of fear that we can't imagine. So we have no choice. We're, forget that love. We can deal with the fear. We can't let this happen. We need to kill them
Right.
first.
Or I suppose we would just continue in the same middle ground of continuing to arm ourselves to the teeth,
There's
and
no,
the
I
Palestinian.
don't know, as I see it, it won't happen because most of the people will find themselves going to the let's kill them first option.
Look, I don't know. For example, one of the fears right after October 7th was, and I remember I felt this viscerally, personally, was all our military forces are going to be extended on two fronts. And then we've got 2 million Arabs within the country, and they own, I think, the majority of the guns within the country. Like they own, I think, I heard some statistic that like they own twice the amount of guns that the Israeli police does. And I was like, holy shit, yeah. What happens if the so-called fifth column erupts and we've got a civil war and a multi-front war at the same time? And none of that happened. None of that transpired. The Arabs within the country, for the vast majority of them, were fantastic and peaceful, and they also were horrified by what they saw. And more than that, which was again so encouraging, was you had people like Mansour Abbas, who was he's I think he's even an Islamist, right? He's a religious Muslim. He's a politician, saying right after, I think it was October 8th, saying violence is not the way. We do not need to escalate here. We are all horrified by what happened here. We need to find a way to live together. So there were and are these beacons of hope and these signs of we can do this. We actually
No,
can
I
look
just,
at
I
one
just
another as,
I'll just ask you one question.
yeah.
Does Abbas have anything to gain from an all-out war between Israeli Arabs and Jews?
I would say none of us do.
So that's why he would say, let's not do it. Because again, it goes back to job security. He
Well, in
has
this case,
he
I
has
support it.
what?
In this case, I support it.
No, I'm just saying, I don't think the Israeli Arabs love the Israeli Jews, but they don't hate them, and there's no
Exactly.
ideology that divides us. It's
Right.
just, you're Jews. You think you're smarter. You kind of own this country. You don't treat me
Right.
fairly, but I can play the game. I'm
Yeah,
okay. I'm playing the game. I know
for
the
sure.
rules. I know where I am. If I'm very good, I can even win with your rules. It's fine.
For sure.
Um, for I think, and again, look at Lebanon. Maybe they don't like us a lot, but they can understand the rules. But for Hezbollah, if they come to terms with, okay, this is Israel, this is who we are, then who are you? Where do you make your money? Where do you make your
Mm,
living? and
mm,
and that's why it goes back to where the money comes from. And
mm.
so I think, um,
So just about
yeah.
you just triggered something in my memory. So the last person I had on here was this amazing woman called Rawan Gabriel Osman, I think is her last name. She was born in Lebanon, and she went to, I think it was a Catholic school in Lebanon, but also was a fan of Hezbollah because they were the defenders of the country. And I asked her how did they depict Jews then? And because it was a Catholic country, we were the killers of Christ. One point in our favor. And then also we were the instigators of war, the invasion, and the Hezbollah guys were the fighters, they were the heroes. And of course, all the context that you and I are aware of, not at all discussed, which gave her this view that Jews are, as a group, not to be trusted or not to be dealt with, and so on and so forth. So I think that yes, money has something to do with it, but fundamentally, what this is all about, and this ties into what you were saying about, can you fix this country? Is it impossible? All of this is just one big, long, very complicated story that we're all telling ourselves, which is what's so exciting about your initiative. The story that we all tell ourselves is it's okay, but it's got really major flaws, and it can be way, way better. In other words, the Israeli story is against all the odds. We 2,000 years of exile, and we all came together, and and now we've got this miraculous country. It's just a spectacular success, and that's all the sort of that's a manifestation of the Jewish soul, the beliefs that we have that just energize and motivate a huge group of people, or sorry, in the global scale, a small group of people, but to do incredibly global and important things. But but to that, what goes along with that is this lingering victim mentality of, yeah, every time we succeed, the people around us get jealous or they get paranoid or whatever, and every time that they're in bad shape, they go out to kill us, and therefore that's why we need a state. I would argue it differently. I would say we need a state because that Jewish impulse, that Jewish spirit, is a good thing for the world, and why not have that for the world, right? It has
that
to be armed
that's
to the
that's
teeth.
that's our job. And an interesting question that I would, maybe it's a good way to define where people are in Israel. If you ask people, okay, what do you think Israel 2024 would look like if Rabin wasn't assassinated?
Hmm.
And I would believe that left wing peace lovers would say, "Wow, wow, we would have a wonderful Middle East." I mean, we had continued the path of peace with Palestinians, and with now Saudi Arabia, where they are, and the Abraham Accords, and wow, this could be good for the Middle East. If you ask a right wing person, they would say would probably be in the same
Auschwitz.
place.
Mm,
Probably in the same place. If Rabin doesn't die, does that stop the bombing? Does that
right.
stop the terror? Does
Mm,
and that's how they excuse themselves for, because, and they say your option of Rabin not being assassinated and having a very healthy peace process, it doesn't exist. So it's not a two option. There's only one option. That's our option. That's why there's no way you can move them to the love side, but you can definitely move the love people to the fear side.
which is
And
what
that's
happened
I
after.
think that's what's
That's
happening.
yeah.
And if we don't come up with a new Shimon Peres, we're in trouble. Somebody who
I
says, "Look, guys, look, you know what? It's not a Shimon Peres. It's a Moses." Somebody who says there is a better option.
yeah.
It's imaginary, okay? It's I'm gonna have to tell you there's a God who loves us, and you're gonna have to believe me. But if you do, the end game is that 5,000 years from now, there's going to be a strong Israeli state that every Jew can come and live. Now, sit there with Moses and say, okay, Moses, stop drinking what you're drinking, okay? But if he made people believe and he made people follow. Um,
Isn't that crazy though?
when
Like
you
that's no,
mentioned
but
what?
that is the precise definition of prophecy. It's
I,
insane.
it's true. It's that's the thing. You have to be a real prophet.
Yeah.
Uh, uh, you have to promise something you believe you can foresee, and you can lead there, and you know how to handle the obstacles in the way that prove you wrong. And I don't know if you got to see the series of Moses on Netflix, and I
No, I
urge you to
haven't.
go
I haven't.
see
You
it.
told me about it, but I didn't. I haven't
Yeah,
seen it
you
yet.
have to see it.
Yeah.
uh, because there are so many times in that whole process where you say it's not working. Moses, let's get back to reality. It's not. It's just not. You're
Yeah.
walking 40 years in the desert, and with this hope we're gonna get to this wonderful land that God promised.
It's
It's
crazy.
not. We're
It's
we're
crazy.
we're we're fucked all over. We're getting bigger. We have no food, and you
Yeah.
still have this. No, 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 no. We have to believe. We have to believe. But that's
But
what
you,
holds us strong. And I think I just note to where you said, if we have what happened if when October, your fear of October really happened, and we had a war from Hamas, Hezbollah, Iran shooting at us, okay, and even riots in Yudav Shomron. Who is going to save us? Can we overcome? I think,
I don't know.
I think because deep down, deep down inside, all Jews believe in God and believe that God chose us. And we will say, we will fight, we will protect. It's going to be hard, but God is on our side. So eventually, this catastrophe that's coming from all over, we're going to come out of this and maybe come out of it stronger. And that belief, I think, deep down, is in every Jew, every person on my side, for one reason. And let me circle back all the way to where we started. Because before you told your son that don't worry, they won't kill us because we'll kill them first, you told him we are Jews. We are the chosen people. God chose us. And that's something that stays with us, I think, for life. We want to be that. There's a reason God chose us. We want to be that. Okay? Some people say because he chose us, we need to be the stronger the better. Some people say he chose us, we have to be good people. Okay? It depends where you take it. And
So Here's
But I
here's
think that's rooted very, 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 very hard because that's what we were told since we were very, very young.
yes, yes, and I would say that okay. So if we just follow the trajectory of this, so Judaism, and then we get to Jesus, and Jesus actually takes the idea the most seriously out of any Jew that's ever existed. If we are the chosen people, then that means every individual is chosen by God to whatever bring the divine down to earth. And it's interesting where those two ideas meet, and they meet in the form of Jesus, who is the what at post mortem he is the founder of Christianity, although not really, but you know that's just how it ended up happening. And so in order for Jews to finally solve this, they have to be more like Jesus. They have to accept that divinity that's within them, right? It's in the Jewish text, right? We are made in the image of God, all of us, all people. So we have to be more Christ-like than we have to be
We
Jewish,
have,
because
we have
Jewish
to,
is
we have to accept Jesus, right? But if we accept Jesus, then we're Christians.
right. So then what?
That's that's how you become a Christian. You know, if you want to be a Jew, it's very hard. It takes a long process. If you want to be Muslim, you have to say three sentences.
Right.
But if you want to be Christian, all you have to do is just accept Jesus,
Yeah.
and that's it. So if we the Jews accept Jesus, are we Christians? And then you understand that there is no difference. There is no difference. The only difference is that it's like the Jews should be the example because you were before Jesus and you were before Muhammad. So you're like, and I think I told you this on the phone. Christians look at us and say, "Do your job. Just do your job.
Yeah.
Be be a light unto the nations. Be the example. Follow the Ten Commandments." Okay. When you break that, what can we tell our people? What can we? What would Jesus say? Okay, if he has to say, no, those guys, forget them. They're they're not an example of you. We need to build something. No, that you got to play your role, and Israel as a country at some point, or most of the majority of the years did, and I think that's where we got lost in the past 20 years. We were playing uh, the Middle East territory game, or some people were, and it
But
becomes irrelevant. Let's
I
go back.
think I think though that the victim mentality, well deserved, I suppose, after 2,000 years of pogroms and torture and so on and so forth, it's well ingrained in the Jewish genealogy at this point. But it's still that last level that has to be unlocked in order to push forth into this. Sometimes I envision like there's a way, like imagine what peace between
Let
Israel
me
and
ask you a question.
Palestine.
Let me ask you a question. Do you feel that?
Yeah. Do I
Do you
feel what?
feel the victim situation, the victim whatever? You feel
I feel
that you are a victim?
no, but I will
Do
say
you,
that
do you
I think
know
I was.
anybody? Do you know anybody who will say, "Yeah, because I'm a Jew, I'm a victim"?
Yeah, of course, of
Who?
course. What do you mean?
Who?
I would say that it comes up a lot.
It comes
I
up a
would say,
lot.
I would say
It comes
especially,
up a
yeah. Look, I grew up in the States, and
yeah.
we Israelis are a different kind of Jew because they win. So the other Jews, they kind of have to deal with the minority status. That's why Israeli Jews aren't funny, because they win all the time. The Jews outside of Israel, they're the funny ones. They're the ones that have to sort of get along. Yeah, listen, it's true. Um,
It's true. You would not get a job because you're Jewish.
Look, I was talking the other day to a Harvard professor. He is like the head of an anti-Semitic task force in Harvard. Derek Penzler is his name, and he said that it wasn't so long ago in the 50s, his parents, that in the U.S. he grew up in Toronto, but I think he felt this in Canada as well, that there were institutions that says no Jews and no dogs allowed, right? And Jews were lumped into that same category, and that's very unfair. And you had
In the
nothing to do with it.
50s. In the
Yeah, of course,
50s.
but I'm just saying I think that um, that feeling of anti-Semitism, that it's out there, and we can't raise our head too high because, oh, watch out, right? Some they're gonna come get us if we're too prominent. That still exists. It's latent in every Jew, and so I would say that I was personally guilty of this right after October 7th, when my whole world, and many of us, I would say at the same time, it blew up because, oh my God, we are not invincible, and they actually do mean what they say, and oh my God, there's all this stuff, all this anti-Semitic stuff going on in the world. Perhaps it was overly amplified by the media, but still, it's like, what the hell is this? Are we back in 1935? And I felt a lot of that in my family and my friends, for sure.
Now, you think the current anti-Semitism in the world is is a race thing or a or an Israeli thing?
I think it's neither. I think it's
A religion thing?
whenever
It's not a religion.
whenever you're externalizing hatred, it's that, like, there's something inside of you that you're really really unhappy with, and so it's much easier to blame someone else. Oh, the Jews this, the Jews that. It's like, do you know any Jews? Do you interact with Jews? What do you know about Jews? Why would you go hit some guy who's got the dreadlocks, sorry, the curls on the, and you're in New York and you just whack him upside the head in the street? Why would you do that? Because you have a good life, like something about your life that you're very very upset with, and you externalize it and you say, okay, it's the Jews' fault. So I think anti-Semitism is a form of self-hatred more than it is what
Yes, but
one Jew or another does.
I'm just saying that I think the Israeli situation with the Palestinian and the Arab world, it's not a Jewish thing. It's an Israeli thing, and it gave us a bad rep for people being anti-Semite, just because we represent the Jewish world now. Um, but I would say this to an extent. I don't want to say everybody, but the fight against anti-Semitism takes me back to job security,
Interesting. Yeah.
because the people who want to keep the anti-Semitism alive
Mm.
benefit from it, maybe on both sides.
And the
But
media
a
as
lot
well,
of
right?
a lot of people are now and always are that's their job. And not Tishby, okay, who wanted to be a great LA celeb slash producer slash whatever, I don't know.
Okay.
Now she writes book about anti-Semitism, and she became more popular and people invite her more, and she became a celeb, an influencer. Now she got a campaign for an insurance company. For what? Because she found Parnassa
She found a gap in the
from,
market.
from yeah, from talking anti-Semitism in great English, okay,
Hmm.
in the U.S. and in Israel. That's not. I don't think it who she was, and now, and that's why there's so much money being thrown at let's fight anti-Semitism, and I feel people in the U.S. I talk with my brother-in-law, and he's like all into that now. It's a crazy world, right? Because the Palestinians, they're Muslim supporters, the 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 supporters who don't know what they're talking about. They have this issue with Free Palestine, and it threatens you as not as a Jew, but as a Jew that has something for Israel inside. And if they come to Israel and do that, they're going to do it to me because I'm a Jew. Now, who says that? The people who are fighting anti-Semitism say this. If you come to work at McDonald's and you're a Jew, nobody cares. You're working
Right.
at McDonald's. Somebody cares if they see on social media that Jews in Israel did this and that, and it's Jews and Jews, and what is anti-Semit? Okay, it's Jews. So you're all the same. So if you're a Jew, you probably
So
were
here's the
were
problem that I think is is critical to tackle because, as you pointed out with Noah Tishby, we this stuff sells. People, the
fear,
reason
fear.
exactly fear sells. The reason the media is successful is because they feed you fear all the time. It's just most of it is fear porn. Um, how do you successfully sell love? Because there's a part of me, as I'm listening to you, thinking this is dangerously naive stuff, and you can't just be walking around the world thinking that everything is fine and none of this stuff exists, and this might one day knock on your
No, it's
doorstep and
that
all of a
that
sudden it'll take
that's
you out.
naive. That's naive. But if you say something is wrong, I prefer to be on the side who's trying to fix it and not succeed than join the wrong. Okay.
Mm,
And what's the line Darth Vader says
I am your father.
when he tells Luke to come to the dark side, right? Darth Vader. You know Darth Vader.
I know Darth Vader, of course, but I don't know the
So
line.
when he's fighting with Luke, he's
Mm,
saying he says come to the dark side or something like that.
okay, okay.
And, and that's what happened with Darth Vader. He just went to the dark side. He used to be on the good side, and there might be a better life for you on the dark side. So
Okay,
you're
so
always in that dilemma, and I prefer to try to fight the good fight. And maybe people saying I'm naive, okay.
yeah,
I just feel better with myself. I feel that this is what God chose for me when He took Moses out of Egypt. He says, "Look, 10 Commandments. Just it's very simple rules. Try to be this person." And I prefer that than being on the dark side. Now it's individual. There's some people who belong to
yeah,
the dark side.
for sure, for sure. And I think that there's like if you ask someone like Bibi Netanyahu, he would say something like, I'm guessing, but just judging from his actions, yes, there's a dark side, but it has to be leveraged properly in order to make progress. In other words, you can't be silly and think that Hamas and the Palestinian Authority want peace. However, we can make peace, we can make incremental progress. In fact, we can make even giant leaps like the Abraham Accords. But through weapons deals, through trading political advantages or political lobbying in the United States to get your country more, I don't know what. He is very, very. I'm guessing, but it's probably 100% certainty that that guy is very, very good at the dark arts, and yet some significant percentage of that guy's heart must be oriented towards the good. Otherwise, why pursue these peace deals? I would
What
imagine,
peace deals?
with the UAE, with Morocco, with
He
Bahrain.
didn't.
And
He didn't.
what
He
do you mean?
didn't. He just signed them. I would believe that, and I hated that we got to Netanyahu because it takes over all conversation, and I don't think it's worth it. But he would probably say, "You can't bring Darth Vader to the good side. You can't. He's either too much invested or it's built in. You can't." But then
Even though,
staying with
even
the
though, even though in Star Wars at the end, Darth Vader kills the other dude to save the good guy, to save his
so
son.
I'll take let's take a jump and stay in this TV world, film TV world,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Let's do it.
which um you know closer maybe to me. Not that I'm a great but when I watched Game of Thrones,
Oh yeah,
okay, have you watched all of it?
yeah, hell yeah.
So here's my theory about Game of Thrones.
Okay.
It's only mine. It's totally imaginary, okay?
Go
But
for
the
it.
two guys who created it are Jewish.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Huh?
And they came up with a great idea. Let's do a big drama series about the Middle East conflict. Okay? And they wrote the whole thing, and they pitched it probably to the Netflix HBOs, and they said, "Look, nobody wants to deal amazing stories, but nobody wants to deal with the. It won't be interesting." And
Mm.
they went back to the drawing board and said, "What if we made it an imaginary world?"
Mm.
Okay, and instead of one side having airplanes, okay, it won't be airplanes or it won't be a nuclear ability. They will have dragons. Okay, now you don't want to fight these people, this army, because they have the dragons. And when I started this analogy in my head, I started watching Game of Thrones with, this is about the Middle East. This is our story. It's just they took it and made this imaginary world, but everything there relates. And what
I mean,
happens there, because
you know that Game of Thrones was written by I don't remember the author, but it was like an established book series that they took and they just took the book stories and adapted into.
don't ruin my theory with facts. This is, and everything there, and what happens there is that you understand, and that's big change that came, I think, with House of Cards and then Game of
Yeah,
Thrones.
totally.
That complexity came into play. We're not Disney anymore. We're not primetime television US that everything has to, at the end,
Yeah.
you remember Love Boat. They come on the boat, everybody fights with everyone, but at the end everybody goes away happy, everything's solved. So they came up with this world, and people there in Game of Thrones moved from being bad to good to bad. It's like crazy.
Yeah.
So maybe, so I would say, yeah, Darth Vader is Darth Vader. You can incentivize him to do not the right thing, but to do what you think is right,
Hmm.
because there's an incentive. um, but that's not guaranteed, because you can pay Hamas millions and millions and millions, but
Right.
something at some point will trigger them to say, I'm taking this money. I know why they're giving me the money. It's not that I deserve this money. So it's not that they're bribing me to be a nice guy. They can't give me the money. Okay. And then on September 22, go to the UN, stand on the stage and say, yeah, we believe that if the US and Saudi Arabia make this deal, it just proves my point. We don't need the Palestinians. Forget them. And I'm certain that this speech, September 22nd, by Netanyahu at the UN, is what triggered the October 7th, which was, a nice plan that it's good to practice all the time.
Hmm.
Like, when I was in the army, we were practicing conquering Syria. That's, you have army, you have to practice. You don't tell them play chess. Let's play out a scenario. We go
Yeah.
into Israel and conquer the kibbutzim. Let's
Right.
practice this. You don't get a green light to do it. You might, have a dream, because you're a soldier, that one day you will get the green light, and you have to be ready to do it. So you're very hyped. And then on September 22nd, they can't leave us out. What if they make this Saudi Arabia U.S. deal? It will be with the Palestinian Authority, because the things have to go. And who's going to be left behind? Us, Hamas in Gaza. So let's show them we're still here, and initiate a small terror attack that blew up. Nobody
Yeah.
wanted that happen to that, and that takes us back 50 years. So yes, I I don't want to go to the dark side. I don't want to be tempted to go to the dark side. I'm not that kind of person. That's me, and you can call it whatever. But when I probably, you won't find me working in a gaming company or a cigarette company, or luckily, and I say this with probably God's protection, I worked for all three broadcast channels in Israel, but I was lucky enough not to be there when Big Brother was aired. And I will always
What
ask
does that mean?
Big Brother, the reality show,
Ah, okay.
I will always ask myself, what would have happened if I was supposed to schedule and promote Big Brother?
But people love
That's
that
not
stuff.
healthy. That's not healthy television. And it's
Yeah, but
even worse when it's successful and millions watch it.
that's the
Okay?
thing
So
that people want to watch. People want to watch.
people want to
You know.
smoke. People want to
Yeah,
take drugs. People want
yeah.
porn. People want to gamble. Okay? You just have to choose which side you're on. And I always like,
Sure.
and again,
But what you've never
I,
smoked, you never drank, you never gambled, you never watched silly
yeah, but
TV.
there's a difference between doing that and promoting that. I can even, watch, there's a difference between drinking alcohol and promoting the drink of alcohol. Don't just drink one, drink many, or gambling, or
Right.
gambling. Okay,
No,
what
but
does gambling?
you can
What does
promote these things and
gambling?
not say, by the way, when you drink lots of this, also drive a car. You don't have to do that.
No,
You can
I'm just
say,
saying
when you're having dinner, have a nice glass of
it's
wine,
different. It's
whatever.
different with drinking. I'll ask you this
Yeah.
again. What does gambling bring to the world? I know I have my problem with cyber. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
cyber. That's Israel's biggest success. My
Mm-hmm.
brother made two exits running cyber companies. My son just finished 5 years in the army in cyber. Okay,
Okay.
what good does cyber do to this world? How does it progress us? It
Well,
protects us. It
yeah.
protects us from tools that we create. I mean, and again, so cyber is like us and Hezbollah firing rockets at one another. At the end, we'll look back and say, did we progress anywhere? What happens between 2006 and 2024? Here's what happened. Now Hezbollah has better rockets, more rockets. We have better defense. We have more defense. But so what? What progress was? How did it help this world? And so again, you can
So,
call me naive. You can call me, I don't know
no,
what's.
I don't call you that. I'm just saying, I sometimes, when you hear this, I think, yeah, that like there is that part of every person that whenever someone speaks something of hope, it's like, right. And that's always, not always, but that's usually a projection of someone saying, I could never do that. Right. Like if you experience this yourself, right? You joined this company and you want to scale it up, and you want IZZY to show Israeli made content, TV series, documentaries, whatever, all around the world. Right? You want this
And I can
reach,
never do that. I can never
right? So
do that.
someone's be like, keep dreaming, nothing like, right? There's someone, oh, you're being naive. Who's gonna want to, who's gonna want to see this, and so on and so forth. I'm sure you've faced that. And so is that naive? No, it's a combination of things. It's that person admitting to themselves that they could never put themselves through the grind, the frustration, the learning, all that kind of stuff to get to the point where, wow, this actually works.
Yeah, but
Or it could be,
but what if I tell
well,
this person, okay, how about I hire you to be my number two?
right,
I think they'll stop laughing, right?
right.
They're saying, oh, well, okay, it's better I stop laughing because then he would think I don't believe his dream. So I'll stop laughing. And if he gives me a job that I can do, that's fine. If he tells me I want you to be number one and take us to the Holy Land, now, but if you'll pay
Right,
me to be your number two and walk with you until I get tired, until you get tired, until I find something else, I'll do that.
right,
And
right,
if
right,
you're a good leader and you can find enough people that buy into this, you know, I can make. I'm telling you this. I'm not a startup kind of guy, and I would have never started Izzy. I had the luck, again, maybe God's guidance, to have someone approach me and say, "Look, I did the I did the first thing, the thing you're afraid of, that you tell yourself, well, yeah, it would be nice if we had an Israeli streaming platform, but I don't even know where to start.
Yeah.
I started for you. Now you can come in and just do what you do." And I said, "Oh, okay, that's interesting." And that's how I got to be, now the owner of Izzy without my co-founder, because he stepped away. But now I know where I want to take this. Now, can I do it? No. Can I find somebody and say, "Do you want to be my number two?" That's great. And if I find 20 people like that, and they all
Mm.
believe, not not that they're just capable of, they believe,
Yeah.
maybe after 40 years, we will get to the promised land.
Nice.
Maybe. Okay. I don't know. I'm definitely, you know, I want to say I'm not a Moses, but after you watched the Netflix series, and that's what Moses tried to tell God at the beginning all the time. Okay. You, you did something wrong. You got to the wrong person. Maybe you want the guy next to me. Maybe it's
Right.
not me. I'm
Yeah.
not a leader. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm that person. I always see that somewhere in the future, maybe sooner or later, I will find that CEO that knows how to take Izzy to the promised land. Right now, I have to do it because nobody else will, and I
Yeah.
can, and I have this roadmap of dreams. And I heard this coach, and I tell this everybody now, like 4 weeks ago, I think, a sports broadcaster for many years. He used to play college, and then he went into media, became a very, he had his own radio station, talks about sports. His name is Doug Gottlieb. He's Jewish.
Okay.
And he got a job to be the head coach of Green Bay, Wisconsin, a college in the U.S. Now, I'm aware, just because of my son, I wouldn't follow college at all. And intrigued me, a Jewish guy in a college, maybe he'll take my son. So I looked into that, and he told a
Okay.
story that he had a friend who always told him you should go coach, and he said, he never coached. He only coached, by the way, the U.S. team in the Maccabiah games. That's his only coaching experience.
Okay.
Okay. But he said when this opportunity came, and because his friend who died from cancer used to tell him you should go coach because he knows basketball, he says it's a dream of mine and I'm going to pursue it. And he said, and this is the quote: "If people are not laughing at your dreams, you're not dreaming big enough."
Right.
So when I tell people now that my goal for Izzy is to become the Netflix rival, but owned by people from Am Israel, okay? We will control the content on Izzy. We can't control the content on Netflix. They do that. They choose to buy a show from Israel about Fauda and about Shtisel, which is so stereotypical, and they choose to buy 10, 15 titles, and that's it. And you could try to tell them, look, we have a great show. This is the true story of it. These are Israelis. This will tell people, see this, they will understand, okay, what we're
Yeah.
about.
Yeah.
Don't care. Don't care. How will the world see it? If we have this great show and we know this show is the best promotion for Israel, how do we get the world to see it? So I
And
want to build
how
that platform.
how's it going so far? How have the shows been received?
It's going good. We're steadily growing. I have a roadmap for how I want to grow faster. It's all about content, um, being smart with bringing content that will bring first Am Israel subscribers, people, that can relate with the stories coming from here. But then I want to do content that comes from Am Israel, but is uh, interesting and valuable for people who have no connections to Israel or to Judaism. They just come to see good television and grow from that to a place where we can bring in any content we want, but we will make sure that we bring content that's relevant to what I call Am Yisrael. Um, and that you can do only if you own it. I give this example. Let's say Netflix is now bought by a very Israeli supporting Jew with billions of dollars. Okay, I don't have an example of somebody that would buy Netflix, but let's say someone did. Okay, now today there's about 10, 15 titles from Israel or about Israel on Netflix. Do you believe that him buying Netflix will make a change there and there might be more content from Israel?
No,
No?
no.
So if you say if Chaim Saban, for example, owns
Sure.
Netflix, still only 10, 15 titles from Israel.
I think I think those guys understand that the reason those guys have billions of dollars is because the market decides what people want to watch. And if they're buying
How
that
do you know
asset,
that people don't want to watch content from Israel?
I don't know that. I don't know
Oh,
that at
so
all
you know what
firsthand.
people watch on you know what people watch on Netflix?
No, no, no. I'm saying
Only
I
stuff
don't.
that are on Netflix. They don't.
No,
That,
I'm just saying that the company Netflix has an enormous interest in finding out what people want to watch, and I'm sure they've tested like crazy. Now, I'm not saying that's the best way. I have no idea. Yeah, but if anyone knows what people want to watch, I don't think
nobody knows.
I have an expertise that's more valuable than the people at Netflix do. I would
No,
say, and my
nobody
guess is
knows.
probably
Nobody knows what people want to watch. People know what people want to watch after they watch. Now you try to make your best guesses, but you know how Netflix works. They have content acquisition executives who
hmm
have a budget and free will to buy what they want. It might be that they have a territory, but they
mm,
make the decision. There's no committee sitting in Netflix and saying, we want to, if you want to buy this, you have to bring it up to your boss and to his boss. No, you're a content acquisition. We trust you. You bring us content and it better be good. Because if it's not good, adios, you're gone.
mm,
If it's
mm.
good, you get a promotion. And they just send these people off. And when a Jewish executive from Netflix, a Larry Tans, meets a Dana Stern, who is an executive in Israel, and she
Okay.
gives him a DVD saying, "This is a new series from Israel. I want you to watch it. Maybe it's good for Netflix." Okay, that's how Fauda got to Netflix. The
Oh.
true story is even tells you even more because I heard the story from Larry Tans on stage, so I can share it with you.
hmm
He got this DVD and he has to watch it from Israel. He was in charge back then of um, I don't know if it was Europe and Middle East or Asia and Middle East, but he was like Middle East was just like let's give the territories that nobody buys anything from Middle East, so let's give it to Larry Tans. But he's
Yeah.
Jewish, so he meets Donna and she gives him this DVD. Sunday night on a weekend, 10 o'clock, something like that. His wife tells him, "You coming to bed?" And he says, "You know what? Go up. I'll join you soon. I just have to watch 10 minutes of this DVD that somebody's nagging me to watch from Israel." So I said, "Oh, from Israel? I'll watch with you. Let's see what it is." So they sit down. He opens his laptop. He puts in his DVD. Back then, you could have put DVD into a laptop,
Yeah.
and they start watching the first episode, and then they watch the second episode. And then he looks at his clock, and it's after 11 o'clock, and tomorrow is Monday workday. So he starts shutting down the laptop, and she puts her hand and says, "No, no, no, let's watch another episode."
Nice.
And they binged the whole first season of Fauda.
Wow.
Now I ask you this, okay? Now
hmm
Mr. Larry goes back to work, okay? Can he come back home and tell his wife, nah, it's not from Netflix? No way. She loves it. She thinks it's
Right.
good. It's from
Right.
Israel, you know. This is
Yeah.
this is why we are Jewish. We can help this. So it comes on Netflix and people watch it and it's successful and it runs for 3 seasons and now maybe four. Okay? Because it's a good series. It's very authentic. Israeli IDF soldiers go disguised into Gaza, kill whoever they want, and come back.
I
And
mean,
that's how the world would see us on Netflix. So I believe that if uh, if Netflix was owned by somebody like Chaim Saban, there would be more. It will be only good stuff from Israel, but there will be more. I
okay,
believe
but
that that if,
that's an interesting
if
it's an interesting question. Like Chaim Saban, just as an example, has a career in media. The Power Rangers being his biggest hit. I'm not aware of any Israeli Jewish content that the guy's ever created, and you have to kind of ask yourself, like, well, why is that?
um, I'm not sure that's right. I know that when he heard of Static and Benel, he immediately got him on a contract and tried to make him big. I
Oh,
don't
really?
know if he's
Cool.
yeah. He signed up on a label and won and invested a lot of money in that. I'm not sure that Saban is not involved in media. Saban at some point was owned Keshet here in Israel,
Yeah,
so he was in that world. Now, um,
but was he
does he?
bringing Israeli slash Jewish stuff to the American market or European or
So
whatever? That's the
I'm
thing.
sure
I'm
I'm sure he wants to.
mm,
Not sure he knows how. Okay.
mm-hmm,
I would love the opportunity to show him how he can do that with Izzy
mm-hmm.
and make a big difference. I believe that could make a bigger difference than fighting anti-Semitism on TikTok. Uh, and I will find my Chaim Saban, okay, somebody who believes and will believe that you know with me, finding the right people to walk this path, we can make it happen. And again, when I talk with people who laugh at my dream of making Izzy a Netflix, I have no choice but I tell them, a step or 2 steps or 3 steps in the roadmap, and I tell you what the first one is because
Sure.
I'm not keeping it to myself. I want to bring Kegel to Izzy.
Kegel?
Kegel is Kegel is the Shtisel spinoff
Okay.
that was already shot, produced. Now it's in editing, and it's going to be ready soon. And to my best knowledge, doesn't have an international platform.
Hmm.
The gamble was, let's produce this very high budget because we'll find who to sell it to. Now here's the question: will Netflix buy the Shtisel spinoff? They didn't want to do a fourth season for Shtisel.
Hmm.
That's why the idea to make the spinoff came about.
Hmm.
They didn't want to extend the contract for airing Shtisel on Netflix. That's why Shtisel is now on IZZY. My luck. So maybe they would say no. Okay, so if Netflix says no, you go to Apple or HBO. Now, would Apple or HBO want to take a Shtisel spinoff? It's the same story. It's the same
Right.
actors. It's
Hmm.
like it's a Netflix original. We're gonna be the what? Maybe we don't take it either. Now you're stuck looking for to just get back your millions that you invested.
Right.
So
Right.
I ask myself, what happens if this series comes on Izzy? How many subscribers will come to Izzy to watch the Shtisel spinoff?
I don't know.
Could that be a
I'm
game
really
changer?
curious.
Could that be a game changer for first step of making easy, you know, better known internationally? Could there be people who watched Shtisel who are not Jewish, but they watched it on Netflix when they hear there's a fourth season spinoff? Will they come watch?
Hmm.
So I have these plans, and and when I you know show you the roadmap, you're starting to say, okay, I don't know if it could be a Netflix. I don't know if you're going to have 250 million subscribers. What about a million? It's a great business.
That'd
It's
be
a great
amazing. Yeah.
business. It could be a great advocacy tool for Israel, and it could be a great way for Israeli talent to get out there to the world, and it could be a great way for revenues coming from the world going back to the creators because that's how we pay, um, and that would be a dream come true, and that's worth fighting for and walking 40 years in the desert because that would make some kind of change in the world, some kind of change, a small one. And for me, it's a small one for Israel, which
Hmm.
I care about. Um, so, so it's going good, especially because you wake up and there's the Eretz Zavat Chalav Udvash that you want to get to. So every time you wake up in the desert, and it's very hard, just to what am I going to do today? I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to fight whatever needed to get to this promised land. Uh, again, I think it's better to be on this side than I would go join. I don't know if I should say join the army because they can pay me now. They need help.
Hmm.
They need miluimnikim. I'll go and volunteer. They'll pay me money because the Medina now pays money for people in miluim, and I will feel I'm helping my country. I'm making a living, and all I want is what? To end the war? To win the war? What's winning the war? How do you win a war? You got to remember that to win a war, that means somebody lost the war.
Hmm.
So they will stay with the loss, okay? They're not extinct. It's just people saying, okay, we lost this round. Oh, there's another round? Yeah, there will probably be another round. Unless you
Hmm.
make peace. After peace, there's no rounds. So now people in Egypt are not, they don't like us. They're not waiting for the next war because there won't be a next war. We have peace. So they will never tell their little kid, the Israelis are attacking us because they want to kill us. We're not attacking them. So they don't care
Hmm.
about us. They don't like us. They might hate us. But that's fine. You do your thing, we'll do our thing. We'll just not have little kids growing up with hatred.
Even though you just said that a lot of them do hate Jews.
What?
Even though you just
They
said
don't
that a
like
lot
it.
of.
They don't like. No, they're not. It's not. They might hate. But I don't think. I don't think there's a conversation uh, between. You know what? I don't know. A young kid in Egypt asking his father about Israel. I don't. I'm not sure. He says they want to kill us. I don't think so.
Sure, sure.
He
But they
might
might teach
say, yeah,
them
yeah, we used
Islamic
to be in
hadiths.
war and now there's peace, but we don't care about Israel.
Yeah.
If you want to go on a
But
vacation, we'll go to Greece. We won't go to Israel.
right.
But yeah, there's this.
But I mean, I think that, for example, like one popular book in Egypt was something like I think it was Mein Kampf, which is wild, right? And there are obviously Islamic hadiths that talk about Jews in the worst possible terms. So it could come from a variety of different influences. This idea that Jews are beneath them and worth their contempt, hatred, if you want.
It could.
But I take your point. I mean, I think that I like the distinction you make between winning wars, which necessarily means one side has absolutely defeated the other, and I think that's why you have, for example, in the Bible, but also in just in other contexts as well, like the Sun Tzu's, the art of war. Like if you're gonna fight a war and you're gonna win, you have to win totally, because you cannot leave this humiliated, defeated group. They're going to be resentful. They're going to be angry. They're going to seek they're going to plot their revenge the minute the war ends. However, peace is interesting because that suggests two winners. It's like, okay, we've agreed to live side by side, and we've now agreed to stop um, focusing our attention on destroying one another, and actually we're gonna focus our attention on our own lives forward, how to improve ourselves, and that's a really
Let
important
me let
distinction
me
that you make.
let me tell you where it came from. Okay,
Yeah.
as you know, on IZZY we have a series called Light Unto the Nations. We wanted to have conversations uh, with Israelis, people with vision and execution. I mean, people who have a vision, but also have done things in their life, and talk about the idea of light unto the nation.
Mm.
One of them was Shai Piron. Shai Piron
Okay.
was minister of education, and we brought him. He's a religious person, and we start the interview. We actually, in this interview, want to ask three questions. One is, do you believe in the light unto the nation prophecy? If so, what have you done that could serve it as an example of that? And what do you think where can Israel improve within your field to better serve the light unto the nation? That's the three main questions. It's a 50-minute interview.
Okay.
But we always start with saying, okay, do you believe? And we asked Shai Peron, do you believe in light unto the nation? He said 170%.
Hmm.
Okay, so before we start, can you give me one example of one thing that we can focus on to be better light unto the nations people? And he says, we should embrace, he said, Lekadesh et Ateko, but we should embrace the tie.
Hmm.
And our, I was listening in the control, and the interview was like, okay, that's the face we did. What do you mean? He said, look, when two students want to, you know, study a Gemara or whatever, they know they're gonna come in 3 days. They're gonna hash it out and argue and fight, but they know one thing: at the end, when we are finished, there's not going to be a winner. There's no decision. The whole process is for us to talk about it, but there's no at the end a right answer, wrong answer. We're doing this for the process of learning together and growing together, and that's what he means by embracing the tie. Okay, that there's no winners. Now I can tell you this. This is my point of view. I was sitting in the control. I heard this for the first time, and I'm thinking, for me as a sports guy, that doesn't work. I mean, where in sports do you embrace a tie? Even in sports that there is a tie, you kind of feel like you didn't win and didn't lose, but you don't embrace the tie. There's no such thing in sports. I said, how can you have a sport that's not the competition on who wins and who loses? And then it dawned on me that there is one sport in the world that embraces the tie. And you won't believe it. It's our sport. It's the one sport that we are probably most known in the world. I won't let work your brain.
Tell
Matkot.
me.
Matkot. When
Okay.
we play matkot, if we don't work together, there's no game.
Mm.
I'm hitting you the ball so you can hit it back, so I can hit it back. If you hit it in a way that I can't answer, that ruins the game. And we will play the sport for 2 hours. And at the
Right.
end, I can't tell you I was better than you. No, you
Right.
won. No, that's the idea. We
Mm.
work together in Matkot so we can both enjoy. And I called Shai Piron and I told him, we invented, I don't know if we invented, but we play the sport of working together without winning or losing. So my I have this wish that one day in the near future I will bump into a Benny Gantz, okay, or a Yair Lapid, and I will tell him, here's one recommendation from me to you that maybe you can influence with, okay? Don't say תנו לצה"ל לנצח. Don't say ביחד ננצח. Change that to תנו לצה"ל להצליח. ביחד נצליח.
Mm.
Because להצליח, there's no loser on the other side. There might even be another person מצליח on the other side. And if you tell the army לנצח, that means we win, they lose. If you tell צה"ל, just succeed. Bring us what we need. להצליח. להצליח, we can do many things. Many things. And I think if we change this world and not worry about לנצח, but להצליח, and the same with business, I could think about how I win over my competitor, but where that's going to take me. I might win this round, maybe he wins that round, maybe somebody else comes and then I lose. I just want to succeed. אני רוצה להצליח. I want
Yeah,
to have success. And I don't care what he does. Maybe he'll have success as well. Why is it, what, can we not have both success? Is it
for sure,
possible?
for sure. And that's, in fact, that's in the final analysis. That's probably what uh, promotes and sustains peaceful cooperation. Because if everyone is doing more or less okay, and no one has real reasons to be resentful and angry, what's there to fight about?
So,
you
so
know?
this is again, it's naive. It may be more Jewish than Israeli. In Israel, we we kind of never accepted that. We're always about winning and losing. I think one of the first conversations I had with my co-founder is he had, again, he came maybe naive and he said, we want to help the television industry. Why don't we, everybody, it's like a kibbutz. Everybody's going to work together. They're going to give us our content because we're going to bring them eyeballs and money, and everybody's going to work together. And I told him, he's here in Israel for 7 years. I said, but you remember where you are. You remember this jungle. And I told him this kind of joke that I tell people to understand that there's this farmer in Israel, and God sends an angel from the sky, and the angel says, I've chosen to give you one wish. Anything you wish, anything, you will get it right away. Anything. There's only one stipulation. He says, what's that? Your neighbor gets double. So you know what the guy wished for.
Zero.
Take out one of my eyes.
Oh.
Because in Israel, if I lose, but you lose more, I win. And that's
Right, right,
stupid.
right.
Okay?
Yeah, it's
And this is what happens between us and the Palestinians. We think we're winning, but we're both losing. We're losing time, we're losing life, we're losing people, we're losing success. Maybe there's a way that we can both succeed. Maybe. Now, it's hard, it's difficult. It'll take a lot of thinking, a lot of trust, but the benefits are amazing.
yeah,
Amazing.
for sure.
So that's where I'm at.
And I think
And
that's a great it's a great place to end our conversation on a high note. Nati, I wish you all the success in the world. Really, if you succeed,
thank you.
wonderful, lovely, and more power to you, man. And yeah, keep you updated. I'd love to know what's going on and what kind of shows you're bringing to
As,
the platform.
as I think we talked a few months back, or maybe it was more than a year. Um, I'm hoping that sometime in the near future we'll have Kobe Ben Melech on IZZY with his own interview show. I already saw on YouTube there are some episodes that are that could fit. This one probably not, but it will just take you to believe in yourself that why not? Let's do it and have it on TV and have the whole world watch it, or at least have the ability to watch it. It's very simple, and that's what we're there for. It's not that we're gonna, evaluate is it a very good show or not good show. We want to let the Israeli talent have an opportunity to reach the international world. You're an Israeli talent. Let's do that.
All right, man. Let's talk soon.
Great. Thank you.
Take care, Nati.
Bye bye.